Hello friends, I am Dr. Sudhansh Sharma from School of Computers and Information Sciences, Indira Gandhi National Open University, and today we are going to cover unit number 9 of our course BEY 020 and which is also BCS 011 of our BCA program. And today's topic of discussion is about unit 9, which is about computer applications, and in the series we are having this as a first session, and this unit will be comprised of 2 sessions. In this session, we are going to discuss something about the computer applications and project management part. Firstly, we are going to discuss about what are the different type of softwares, and then we are going to discuss briefly about the open systems, open sources. Apart from this, we are going to discuss about the project management aspect of the softwares. So the objectives of today's session are to understand the basic fundamentals of the open source softwares and understand the project management process. In our earlier session, we had already discussed that there are different aspects for software evolution, wherein we touched about software architecture aspect, software design paradigm aspect, programming language aspect, and software licensing aspect. In software licensing aspect, we had briefly discussed about the open source softwares, but open source softwares can be from any variety of the softwares. Likewise, we had discussed that we are having application software, system softwares, and programming softwares. We had already discussed that application softwares are the softwares with which the user directly interacts to work on the computer. Likewise, we are having office applications, MS Office or so, and we are having the programming softwares wherein the user generally program to develop their own applications, and the application softwares can also be developed by using the programming softwares. We are having compilers, linkers, loaders, assemblers. These all facilitate the development of the application programs, hence they are categorized into the programming softwares. But there are system softwares, and the system softwares, one of the most important software is your operating system, which actually interacts with the hardware. And this interaction of the hardware facilitates the utility programs, the application softwares, the programming softwares to work onto the computer. Now, all these 3 categories, be it application softwares or the programming softwares or the system softwares, can be from the open source background or from the proprietary background. So, firstly, we need to understand that what are the facilities which are being available for the open source, because open source community is widely providing the softwares which are easy to understand, manage, and they can also be altered as per the requirement. So in order to understand the open source softwares, we need to understand that some of the basic salient features of the open source softwares are that they provide the source code. The source code is openly available. You can study the source code and you have the rights to change the source code. Apart from this, after improving the source code, you can publish your new source code as your product also, and there are no commercial goals. So open source softwares are very much required in the community, because many persons, companies are not financially equipped to work with. Likewise, say we are a student and we are unable to purchase, say, expensive softwares, and in that case open source softwares are the ways to work on our research, on our education, and whatever we feel like. But there are some pros and cons of using the open source softwares. Although the open source softwares provide the collaborative development and they are quite customizable and there is no commercial pressure on the open source softwares, but the community support and transparency is somewhat very much required, and this is provided in the open source environment. But there are some of the potential risks, because the persons, the software engineers are downloading the source code. The source code is openly available. There might be a potential risk of the security, and commercial support is quite less. Apart from this, one need to understand the technicalities on their own. So that's why there is a steeper learning curve, and there might be a variability in the quality, because we need to have proper documentation, and which might not be available in an open source community, because some has to contribute about how the things are to be worked with. So as a result of which the quality might vary, we need to have continuous improvement in the product. Now the objectives of the open source are to encourage innovations, because we need to be quite innovative in order to grow. So open source provides the environment to provide innovative solutions, because the source code is openly available. Apart from this, the security and the quality of the product can be continuously improved by finding out the gaps in the software. The software programmer can always work on the improvement of the quality and the security aspects of the open source softwares. As a result of which, because the source code is openly available and freedom for innovative ideas to be implemented is available, there is a reduction in the software cost, because one need not to purchase the proprietary packages so as to work onto the software, so as to get it improvised. And that's why this community is quite supportive, helpful in project management. Now, computer applications, this unit actually covers the open source softwares and the project management softwares, because these are some of the important aspects which are required to develop any application in computers. Apart from this, in this session, or maybe into the subsequent session, we are going to discuss some of the proprietary packages also. But the key principles of the open source licensing is actually the free distribution. The open source softwares can be easily and freely distributed along with this source code, and you can derive the works, and there is no discrimination on the distribution of the licenses. So there is a license independence, as a result of which the community can work freely and support the innovative aspect of any software development. So these are some of the key aspects, and as a result of the innovation in the software environment, in the beginning we discussed that we are having application softwares, we are having system softwares, we are having programming softwares which can be proprietary and which can be in the open source mode. So the open source community has provided very many languages, operating systems, as well as programming softwares. Likewise, we are having PHP. PHP is one of the scripting language which is very much suitable for the web development. We are having Linux as an operating system which is a kernel based on Unix. Apart from this, we are having web servers. Likewise, Apache is a web server, and web browsers. Mozilla Firefox is also an open source web browser. Apart from this, MySQL is a popular database, and we are having n number of softwares. Tomcat, MediaWiki, and GNU project is also there, which provides foundation of the free softwares. So the open source community is quite strong, and they are providing n number of solutions to the persons who really want to work in the field of the software or computer application development. So our development of an application itself is a project, and in order to execute a project, one need to have the skills of the project management. So the project management is actually a discipline which involves planning, organization, and management of the resources to bring the successful completion of the project goals. So planning, organization, management of the resources, identifying the project goals and project objectives are one of the key requirements for the actual execution of any project. So one need to understand the real objectives, what is the key problem. So in order to solve the problem, what are the resources required, and then the planning and organization and the management of the resources is very much required for any project to be managed, be it software, be it hardware, or any project. Now, so there are different phases in project development, and these phases included the initiation stage of the project. Thereafter, we are having project planning and the design stage, then project implementation stage, and we are also having, we need to monitor the different stages in order to control the environment, and finally the completion stage is there. So we are so far as system development life cycle is concerned, we are having different models. Likewise, we had waterfall model, we are having spiral model, prototype model. All these models are actually required for the completion of any project. So these are some of the initial phases of the project which a project manager should exercise to get it done. And why we are discussing this? Because we are having some softwares, likewise MS Project is one of the software which is very much required for the different phases of project management, be it scheduling or timing or execution, planning or whatever, or communication. So there are different phases of the project. For the completion of the different phases of the project, the software, the proprietary software is MS Project, and we are going to discuss it in the subsequent session. So there are different roles and responsibility of any project managers, and which includes the understanding of triple constraint, which implies the balance is to be made between the cost, time and scope of the project. And the project manager should be very much clear about the objectives to be achieved for the execution of the project. And in order to execute the project manager need to have a clear-cut planning, and which the planning revolves around the objectives of the project. Apart from this, making the balance in between the cost, time and the scope. So the execution, the implementation of the projects also requires the understanding of the requirements of the project. And finally, the most important thing is how to close the project. So all these things are roles and responsibility, that to make the balance in between the resources, identifying the resources, understanding the objectives, planning the execution of the project and the closing of the project, which actually leads to the final delivery of the project. And these all responsibilities are being understood by the help of a project life cycle. So you can say that the project management cycle is actually, you need to understand firstly the scope of the project. And after identifying the scope of the project, you need to estimate the work involved in the different phases of the project. Apart from this, on the basis of the work, you need to schedule that which phases of the project need to be executed in parallel, or which needs to be executed in the serial manner. Apart from this, continuous monitoring of the progress of the project is very much required, and thereafter, if there is some lead or lag, then one need to control or adjust the parameters for the control of the project. So all these things are required. These things earlier, when computers, softwares were not that much intelligent, were done in a classical way, but the softwares are available to execute each of these phases of the project management cycle. So the project includes the documentation and communication part also. So the project manager or the software, if we want to develop a software, then which component should be included into the software to facilitate or to automate the execution of the project. Those phases are shown over here. The first and the foremost important part is your scheduling phase. And you need to schedule the events, be it they are to be executed in serial manner or into the parallel manner, because accordingly you need to choose the design patterns. Likewise, you need to go for the PERT chart or the Gantt chart. Then you need to control the cost and identify the resources and intelligently allocate the resources. Apart from this, when resources are allocated to the, you need to identify the utilization part, that is the time sheet management is very much required, that how much time is required for the execution of the various phases of the project. And you need to have the collaboration softwares. That means those type of softwares which collaboratively provide the facilities of scheduling the task, controlling the cost, resource allocation and time sheet management. Apart from this, you need to have the facility of communication, because when you are planning something, you need to have the communication with your team members, so that proper message is communicated to the team, and the phases are executed in the timely manner. And you need to have the control of the quality, so quality management is very important. And finally, you need to document all those things. So there is a difference in between a program and a software. If we simply write a code, that might be a program in any programming language. But when you can call it as a software, the moment you develop the documentation which helps the user to understand the facilities and make the user to learn how to work with that software. So the documentation part associated with the program part transforms it into the software. So you need to have the documentation for all the phases of the software development, be it analysis, design, implementation, testing, deployment, or whatever. So documentation is one of the very important part of the software development and any project development. Now, the scheduling of the project. The scheduling of the project is a first and the foremost part, which is responsible for the beginning of the project, and wherein you need to identify that which tasks are there, and the task dependency is to be identified. So the task dependency identification is very important to understand that how many tasks can be executed in a serial manner, or how many tasks can be executed in a parallel manner. Then only the task can be executed in a timely manner. Apart from this, after identification of the task, the serial task may be having a different requirement of the resources, and the parallel task may be having different requirement of the resources. So, and resources might be limited. So, the scheduling of the resources depending upon the identification of the task and the type of the task is very much required. Apart from this, you need to have some mechanisms to manage the uncertainties in the duration of the estimates, because there might be some problems in between. So how much execution time is required, you need to have some flexibility, so that uncertainties are to be taken care also. And you need to identify the critical path, the shortest path, the optimized path, which will help you to schedule the task, so that all the jobs which are related to the execution of any project can be executed in a timely manner. So the critical path identification is one of the most important aspect of any software development, and because it involves the optimum solution to the development of any project. So you need to identify that how many events are dependent and how many events are independent. So independent events can be executed in a parallel manner. However, the dependent events need to have the serial execution. And you need to identify that how much task duration is required for the dependent events or for the independent events. Then based on that, you need to perform the project optimization things. Likewise, you need to optimize. You may use the linear algebra as a part to optimize the allocation of the resources, or to optimize the cost, or minimize the losses. So, in order to optimize the profits, minimize the losses, there are various modeling techniques. One, linear algebra is one of the techniques which you can use for the optimization of any project. So in order to find the critical path, you need to find the dependent and the independent events. Apart from this, how the task need to be scheduled, what is the duration of the task should be assigned. Apart from this, how much resources and to what extent the resources can be allocated to the task, and accordingly we need to optimize the resource allocations for better results. So there are project planning softwares, and the project planning softwares provide the information to various stakeholders of the project, and there are various type of information which should be included in the project planning. So you need to have the software for project scheduling. You need to have the software for project planning. So the software which is required for project scheduling should be capable to identify the critical events, the dependent events, independent events, resources, and how to find the optimum execution time so that the task can be completed in a timely manner. But the goals of the software which is responsible for project planning are very different, and various type of, because in the planning phase we need to make a lot of communications, and there are different type of informations which might be communicated in this phase, and there are in general 7 type of informations. Likewise, a task list for the team members. You need to inform the team members that what is the task list. Apart from this, allocation of the resource schedules is also very much required, because the members are to be given some of the resources on which they are supposed to work. Apart from this, overview of the information of how long a task will take to complete. So time management is taken care. The information or the communication related to the time management is the next important information. Apart from this, if there is any risk or early warning, then this type of information should also be communicated to the project manager. And the information of the workload, if the workload is increasing or decreasing, then planning of the holidays and all those things are very much required to timely execute the project. And historical information of the projects which were executed in the earlier times is also required, because if same type of project is to be again executed for some other customer, then one need to have that what was the earlier time of execution, what is the present time of execution, how much time will it take, how many resources will it take, what is the human resource requirement, what is the machine resource requirement, all those things. Apart from this, information about the optimization of the utilization of the available resources is also required. So the planning phase needs to have a lot of communication, and the scheduling phase needs to have the monitoring of the timely execution of the project, various phases of the project. So these are some of the informations which are required. But you need to now the project management is also having the time management part, and because there are some turnkey projects. Turnkey projects are the projects which are having a fixed tenure of time. Within that they are supposed to execute those projects, and if the project execution time exceeds, then penalty is imposed. So timesheet management is very important aspect of any development of project development, and this timesheet management cycle involves the recording of the hours and management of the project resources, be it human resources or machine resources, calculation of the payroll part, and improvement of the productivity, because one need to optimize the time part. So the recording of the hours is the base requirement for the time management cycle. Based upon the recording of the hours, all the requirements of the project are to be managed, be it resource allocation or scheduling or planning, and accordingly the whatever resources are being required for the resource management or planning or scheduling, the involved staff, the payroll of that involved staff needs to be managed, and only then the productivity can be improved. So time management cycle involves 4 phases: recording of hours, managing of projects, calculation of payrolls, and improvement of productivity. There are again pros and cons of the time management softwares. Time management softwares facilitates the tracking of the efficiency of the employees, improves the productivity. Also, it aids the payroll calculation and helps the self-evaluation. Also, it provides the details of the task that if you want to evaluate the performance of a particular employee or the productivity of any project, then the timesheet management softwares can definitely help us out. But there are some of the limitations, and because their limitations involves that the timesheet management softwares are quite time consuming, and there might be a potential of inaccuracies. They require trained staff and may face resistance from the organization. and also it requires initial setup cost. So timesheet management softwares involves there is an overview of these timesheet management tools. It involves the timesheet reporter, and this importer is a tool that details the timesheet reporting, and we are having the mechanism with that integrates the timesheet with the project management, and accordingly the timesheet reporting is formed. Apart from this, QTime provides the efficient time management features, and accordingly based on those features you can control the time aspect of any project. So we are having a different type of project management softwares. As I had already said that the project management softwares needs to have the management of the schedule, of the time management, of the planning. So we are having different type of softwares, project management software, be it the desktop application development software or web-based services softwares or web-based systems. So the desktop application softwares are actually installed onto the personal computers and they can work on a standalone mode, whereas the web-based services softwares are the project management softwares which are provided as an online application for project management. And the web-based system softwares are those project management software which are installed on the local hardware for the intranet use, that is for the internal usage of any organization. So we are having these type of the softwares, and so far as the classification of these software is concerned, the desktop applications involves the famous softwares are MS Project and the Gantt project. So far as the web-based services are concerned, iTeamwork, and the web-based systems involve the DOT project. In this course, we are going to discuss in the subsequent session about the MS Project softwares. And apart from this, we are also going to discuss some of the supporting softwares likewise Word, Excel, and spreadsheets apart. And we are also going to discuss about the emails. So in the next session, we are going to discuss the computer applications which are relevant for the working of any project. And I think we had discussed about the understanding of the project management, which will definitely help you out to develop the computer applications. Thank you.